Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. Back with my good friend Dion from Dion Talk. How you doing, sir?
Howdy, Mike. I'm doing great. The bugs in Florida are a unique nuclear experiment gone wrong, but I'm ready for today for sure.
So are we sick? Because I've been in Florida a couple of times, South Beach only, I think. Is that all I've been to? I must have been other parts of Florida, but I don't remember the bugs actually. What's going on? Just are they everywhere or just big or yes?
They're everywhere. I have several videos where the ground just moves.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
so new to me from Washington, where a couple of mosquitoes is about all we get.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, very, very cool. So, what we're going to talk about here, folks, in episode number one is actually inspired by Graham Stephan. Graham Stephan put out a video today talking about he's given up on the stock market. And you actually have two guys here, one guy that gave up on the stock market decades ago, and one guy that's never really gone in. So I thought we would talk about why, again, I didn't watch the video. Seemed kind of clickbaity to me, so I didn't watch it. Dion, I think you did watch it. But instead of talking about that video, let's talk about why you and I don't play in the stock market. You want to go first?
Sure. Part of it is learning from people's stories like yours, where somebody who's much more educated and probably a lot more intelligent than I am, who goes into it and it doesn't work out great. The thing that matters to me when it comes to investing is investing in something that excites you.
Mhm.
I think we're more likely to stick to a plan if we're more emotionally invested in it. And stocks mean less than nothing to me.
Yeah.
I grew up in a tangible world, couldn't even count on having food next week with my family when we were kids.
Mhm.
And you worked for what you got. And if you could touch it, you can own it. And for me, that's real estate. So much so that I actually don't even like retirement accounts.
Oh my goodness,
And,
really? Okay.
and in the FIRE community, financial independence, retire early, I kind of get pounced on for that.
I bet.
Money being locked away in a retirement account for decades, hoping taxes will be lower in the future,
Yeah.
that doesn't pay me now, is almost as unattractive as buying stocks. To the point where last year, because of COVID, I emptied my retirement accounts. I was impacted by COVID a little bit, so I was able to take the money out without paying the 10%
nice.
penalty. That money is now working in a rental property,
I'm sure.
getting me a 17% cash on cash return
Wow.
on a much more expensive property than I was going to buy without having that money to invest.
That's awesome.
So,
Yeah. For me, so I get it all the time, right? I haven't touched stock since I got burned for 150 grand. And again, if you don't know the story, here it is. I had $7,000. I turned it into, let's round it up, 200 grand. And then that 200 grand turned into 40 grand. I think you can be a good stock market investor. It just takes more time than I'm willing to commit, right? Warren Buffett proves it's possible. I just don't have the ability to read 8 hours a day. I've read maybe 200, 250 financial reports in my lifetime. I don't want to read anymore, right? It's an emotional game. It moves. You have market risk, sector risk, company risk, executive risk. No matter how much you know, you don't know. Then there's fraud. Two of my most spectacular losses. One was in Enron. Or if you don't know what that is, go look it up. It essentially was the provider of, they were basically I don't know, basically bought and sold electricity, simply said. Part of California brownout, thought it was a good business, turned out to be a total fraud. That burned me. Then, folks, I get conservative. I go buy a telephone company. I'm like, AT&T is not going anywhere, but I'm going to buy the best phone company. So at the time, there's a company called WorldCom, which was taking over the storm. And I put all my money in that. And that turned out to be a fraud. When that happened, I'm like, I'm done. I'm out. It's a casino. I don't have the skill set, the bandwidth, the whatever. I'm going to go learn real estate. And I haven't been back. There's a lot of people that have been in the market the last year or so. It's doubled, right? From the March lows or April lows. And I'm like, nope, not playing. Don't ask me about stocks. Don't know. Don't care. It's just, I think real estate offers you the ability to learn and take advantage of the market. Stocks, there's so many things outside your control.
right. So I wouldn't say that somebody who dedicates the time and has the bandwidth to learn how to invest in stocks can't do it successfully. But there are some really simple differences like leverage.
Yes.
And I don't understand leverage well enough with stocks to get this right. So correct me if I'm wrong. But
Mhm.
when I take out a 30-year fixed rate debt with a mortgage, it doesn't get called by the bank. When I use margin, it can get called at any point in time. And one of the things I like about Meet Kevin, since this is kind of a reference to Graham Stephan's video, Meet Kevin has talked about stocks a lot too. And as his portfolio got huge, it made sense to diversify some out of real estate into stocks. But then he starts talking about his leverage, his margin position, and how he has to make sure that doesn't get out of control. And for me, it comes back to being the lazy investor. I don't want to have to learn that asset class. I don't know that I want my portfolio to get so big that I want to have to diversify into those types of asset classes. For me, it's easier to diversify rental properties by spreading them out, making sure the tenants coming from different sources, having different tenant types, military, Section 8, working or retired, keeping that pretty balanced. Just so much more control investing in a way that made financial freedom without having to invest a lot of my own money.
Yeah.
I believe we're going to be talking on my channel about, recycling capital, something that you've done, a big part of your strategy.
Oh, yeah.
Something I haven't done. But even then, I haven't had to invest a lot of my money because the cash flow from the rentals becomes how you invest.
Yeah.
And people who invest with stocks, even for a dividend portfolio like AT&T that you said, it's not going anywhere. They did just reduce their dividend.
They did.
And people weren't expecting that. So
yeah, there's a couple of things, right? Again, lots of people get sucked in, as I did, right? When you turn $7,000 into 28 grand, you feel like a genius. You turn $7,000 into 100 grand, you think you got Midas touch. You turn $7,000 into 200 grand, you are a freaking egomaniac. And then the market kicks you in the nuts. And the other thing I need you to realize is, folks, there's this notion of margin, right? So this isn't stocks, but it can happen in stocks. This happened in crypto 2 days ago. Right? Bitcoin specifically. Bitcoin, I think, was touching $52,000, rah. Suddenly, in the span of minutes, it went to 42. The reason this is important is because if you were on margin, you were liquidated if you were over margin. And again, you may be safe at 52, but you're not safe at 42. There was $3 billion with a B, wiped out in the course of 24 hours. Right? You could have walked into the day having $500,000 in Bitcoin and ended the day at zero if your margin was wrong. Doesn't happen in real estate, right? My properties in Fresno, California went down 75% in the last crash. If I could keep making the mortgage payment, they would not call the loan. Right? So conservative financing, no adjustable rate mortgages. That's why I talk about fixed rate debt all the time. Cash flow day one, don't bet on appreciation. You can make mistakes in real estate, like betting on appreciation. But if you do what you and I do, cash flow, yield, cash on cash, the notes don't get called. It's just safer. I can sleep at night. That was the big thing about the stock market. Let me tell you, some of my worst nights of sleep was over a weekend when WorldCom was getting the circling the drain, because you can't trade stocks on the weekend. Right? It's not, if your stocks are making you lose sleep at night, too much risk. I don't really have that with real estate.
No, I don't have that with real estate either. Real estate equity becomes a swan account. You sleep well at night account. Your reserves become a sleep well at night account. And one of the things I really like about making a video like this is I am not an expert on stocks. So somebody is going to attack me in the comments saying, you shouldn't comment on stocks because you're not an expert. They're right. I comment on real estate because I reached financial freedom by using real estate in a very simple, very easy to reproduce manner. It's spelt out in your book, literally page by page. Just get to 4 your life changes without having to do a lot of work, without having to save a whole bunch of money, without having to learn investing strategies for stocks and watching what's happening with the market or getting into crypto. So when you attack me in the comments, you're right. I don't know anything about stocks by design.
Yeah, exactly. And again, your whole shtick is not a shtick, but the lazy man's way to go, right? You have what, 4 hours a month?
In a bad month, it's 4. My average is about 2.5 in a month. 4 is when I have a plumbing problem and I have to contact 2 people to get a quote or call a handyman or something. And it adds up.
Even if it's 4 hours a month, I mean, if you're going to be good at, again, remember what I said about Warren Buffett at the opening. He reads 8 hours a day. That's not 4 hours a month, right? And it's, again, you can be successful at stock, but you can also be lucky. Some of you are lucky and think you're successful, and there is a difference. I have proven that. But yeah, if you want to go learn stocks and you want to stay engaged and you want to do straddles and puts and calls and all these other things, by all means, go for it. I just will not put $1 in stocks. I've 20 years of experience in my market. I won't even change markets, folks. I will just buy what makes sense in my market. So yeah, I've given up on stocks decades ago, Graham. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, and a lot of the people who look really smart investing because the market's going up. This could be stocks or real estate. You
No,
look
either
like a
one.
genius until you don't, right?
Yeah.
But when the stock market loses a lot of value, or you get called, your margin gets called, you're really impacted. As a buy and hold investor who's counting on rent prices, not the value of my property, which
Exactly.
means almost nothing to me because that's part of that net worth thing that I had to do research on to make a video to figure out what mine was. And after 2009, after the big crash of 2008, after 2009, rents went up.
Up.
So
yeah, go figure. Right. Yeah. In the end, folks, I gave up on the stock market a long time ago. I'm glad that Graham Stephan is on board now. Real estate just offers more leverage, cash flow, the ability to really create value, force appreciation, buy to discount, seller financing. It's just on and on and on. And again, both of us have got to financial freedom because of cash flow from rental properties. So Deon, how can people find you?
Right here on YouTube, Deon Talk Financial Freedom. I'm very active in the Bigger Pockets community. You can find me in their official Facebook groups. I'm on there more than I am on the Bigger Pockets forums for now. And just been retained for another boot camp training session with them starting after the one that I'm in now ends.
Very cool. Awesome, Deon. Thank you very much and enjoy Florida.
Thanks, Mike.